Greetings from Savvy Layman. I didn't plan to purchase a new laptop this year. I was simply okay with my 14-inch Lenovo IdeaPad Ultrabook, which I featured in one of my earlier videos. But when schools had to go remote due to the pandemic, my wife and I had to let the kids use basically all computers we had at home. Without going into too much detail, let's just say mine suffered permanent damage. And the culprit is...
Beep, beep. Beep, beep.
These mesmerizing big eyes. Thou art forgiven, my son. As we all have noticed, customer electronics is quite expensive these days. Christmas season, combined with supply shortages, make customers pay premium. But I did need a working laptop, so I had no other choice. I didn't want to break the bank, so I decided to go with a budget of 1200 euro. It's certainly not peanuts, but I reckon some people buy smartphones which are more expensive than that. I also adjusted my preference concerning the form factor. While 3 years ago I deliberately chose a light 14-inch laptop with long battery life, as I had to carry it around a lot, now I realized I no longer cared about portability so much. I know different people have different requirements regarding laptops, so it's hard to give good advice which would be applicable to everybody. But in my humble opinion, there are still some recommendations which all buyers should consider. See, there are some crucial components no one can ever upgrade, such as the screen, the CPU and the GPU. Frankly speaking, if they suck now, they will suck forever. Of course, not everyone needs a 4K OLED screen and the top-end graphics processor, but it's important to choose the optimal combo right in the beginning, otherwise you may hate your computer for the years to come. The Asus laptop I showed in one of my previous videos, where I replaced the spinning hard drive with an SSD, was exactly that kind of case. As for future-proofing, I also recommend choosing a laptop which is as upgradable as possible. Okay, perhaps you don't care about the Wi-Fi card in there, but there are other components such as RAM or SSD where you can start with lower specification today and upgrade tomorrow. Spoiler alert, this is exactly what I'm going to do in my next video. As for the screen, avoid any laptop with a screen which has lower resolution than Full HD, that is 1080p, or less than 300 nits of brightness. Alright, one can probably survive with a 250 nit display as long as they stay indoor in a somewhat dark room, but I think such setup defeats the portability aspect of laptop computers. I personally wanted a panel with brightness of at least 400 nits with reasonable color accuracy. From my previous experience, a 300 nit TFT display is simply not up to scratch once I needed to use the laptop in a brightly lit room or even outside. As the thumbnail has already revealed what laptop model I chose, let us have a closer look at this beauty. Or beast. Or actually, both. Let me introduce to you Lenovo Legion 5 Pro. I loathe unboxing videos, so what you see is what you get. I'll rather jump straight to the features I actually care about. The good stuff first. Boy, this 16-inch screen is simply gorgeous. It's a 1600p 500 nit IPS panel with up to 100% of sRGB coverage. As I primarily want to use the laptop for productivity purposes, including some content creation, the 16:10 screen is a winner. It even features a 165Hz refresh rate with G-Sync or FreeSync, which is a total overkill considering its graphics capabilities, but FPS games, here I come! It would be a shame to power such screen with an integrated Vega graphics, so this laptop model also comes with NVidia RTX 3060 discrete GPU with a fully unlocked 140 watts power limit as well as the mux switch. Lenovo calls this mux switch hybrid mode. The mux switch enables me to drive the internal screen directly by NVIDIA GPU. Yes, laptops which contain both an integrated GPU as well as a discrete one can let the latter render the 3D scene while the earlier handles the display output. However, such hybrid setup introduces extra latency, which results in decreased performance when compared to a scenario where just the discrete GPU handles everything. One could always bypass the integrated GPU even without the mux switch by using an external monitor, but that would again defeat the purpose of the internal high refresh rate screen. The only upside of the hybrid setup is that it offers better battery life in non-GPU intensive workloads. It's a shame many gaming laptops still lack the mux switch, as I find it invaluable when it comes to gaming. This laptop is powered by a very reasonable 6-core 12-thread AMD Ryzen 5 5600H CPU. Since the laptop's beefy cooler is designed to tame even a higher-end model with Ryzen 7 CPU and RTX 3070, it allows my lower-tier CPU and GPU to run pretty cool and quiet. I also like there are lots of upgradable components inside, such as the dual-channel RAM, M.2 NVMe SSD with an extra expansion slot, and a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth combo. The laptop is well built overall. It has a sturdy body with an aluminum lid. And I simply love the Stingray white color scheme. And look at the Legion logo. It can even be turned off. Sweet! It is available even in storm gray color scheme for more conservative users. Not me. There is a sufficient number of USB ports, most of which are placed on the rear so they don't get in the way when using a mouse or whatever. No Thunderbolt port though. RJ45 Ethernet port as well as HDMI 2.1 output are always welcome. As is the case with all things in life, there are some drawbacks to this laptop. My unit came with a terrible IPS backlight bleed. Ouch! The laptop is on the heavier side, just a bit short of 2.5 kilos. I don't mind it, but someone may. Though the laptop came with 16 gigs of dual-channel RAM, the provided sticks are quite slow. In the next video, I will replace the sticks with better ones to see if the computer can indeed run faster. 720p camera is of poor quality, but it at least comes with a physical on-off switch. Review samples were shipped with Intel Wi-Fi card, but I only got a MediaTek one. The laptop only offers 3 thermal modes or power limits to choose from, and the fan curve cannot be adjusted manually at all. Thermal modes can be toggled by pressing Fn and Q buttons, and the color of the power button's LED indicates which one is currently selected. Long story short, only use quiet mode when you need to conserve battery life. First of all, quiet mode is not that quiet, and balanced mode is not much louder, but does offer significantly better performance. When gaming, plug in that AC power adapter and use performance mode, provided your laptop doesn't sit in your lap. Airflow is your friend, so don't choke those vents. Let's run some benchmarks, shall we? While the use of performance mode clearly increases the total score, the mode apparently has zero impact on the CPU score in TimeSpy. The difference is just runtime variance. Though the negative impact of hybrid mode is not huge, I still hate to leave performance on the table, so I can't recommend it except for lightweight apps when the laptop runs on battery. Mobile RTX 3060 is obviously no ray tracing king, as it only offers a console-like 30 FPS experience in this benchmark. Corona, Blender, and also Cinebench clearly show why quiet mode is a pain in any CPU-heavy application. The imposed power limits completely choke the CPU. In the game benchmarks that follow, I will always use performance mode because it makes most sense for gaming. In Watch Dogs Legion, I had to use medium texture quality settings because I was limited by 6 gigs of VRAM. Cyberpunk provides solid gaming experience at low settings. Textures can be kept in high quality though. However, at 1440p resolution, one occasionally stumbles upon dips below 30 FPS. DLSS lets us crank up the settings to medium while delivering even smoother gameplay than earlier. Control is heavily GPU bound. While at 1080p, the gaming experience is very good at high settings, at 1440p it suddenly becomes a slideshow. The use of DLSS enables me to turn on even some ray tracing options. This game simply deserves it. Neither Cyberpunk nor Control are competitive shooters, so anything over 30 FPS is good enough in my opinion. Battlefield 5 is a mixed bag. Though the average frame rate is solid, the 1% lows as well as frame time consistency suffers at times. I suspect this has to do with the slow RAM sticks I referred to earlier. I will definitely repeat the test in my next video as I perform the memory upgrade. And last, a fun fact. Did you know this laptop GPU can mine Ethereum like a boss? It can achieve 43 MHz per second with 460 MHz per joule efficiency, which is more efficient than the desktop RTX 3080 I showed in my earlier video. And the beefy cooler keeps the GPU reasonably cool too. That's pretty badass if you ask me. Fortunately for gamers, miners are less likely to buy laptops as they don't scale as well as mining rigs based on desktop GPUs. Lenovo Legion 5 Pro is not the newest model out there, and that's fine. As you might have already figured out, I don't need the latest and greatest gadgets just for flexing purposes. Therefore, I deliberately chose an older model over the latest one, whether it's a cell phone, laptop computer, bicycle, or a car. The order doesn't necessarily mean worse, just the opposite. Early adopters often need to deal with teething issues which only get ironed out over time if ever. And shiny new stuff comes with a premium price tag too. Lenovo did a pretty good job with Legion 5 Pro for its asking price. And the burst tweeted, Legion 5 without the Pro and Legion 7 are solid performance too. And if you're asking, no, this video was not sponsored by Lenovo. I'm just genuinely happy with the laptop. Thank you for watching. I know it was a long one today, so I appreciate you stayed with me until now. As I have already indicated, I will be doing some upgrades to this laptop in the next video. Stay tuned, cheers, and have a nice one.